Chloe Miller and I were a package deal. Everyone at Northwood High just assumed we were the golden couple destined to walk the halls of the West Coast Institute of Technology together. That was until Jason Vance transferred in. The way he moved in on her was like watching a spider weave a web, every move calculated. I saw the tips of Chloe's ears turn red whenever his hand accidentally brushed against hers. On the day we submitted our college applications, she was so sure I'd follow her to NYU. "Don't worry," she told a friend, loud enough for me to hear. "Liam will come around. He always does." Too bad for her. What she got was a read receipt for my acceptance to WCIT and a block on every social media platform. At prom, she made a point of grinding on Jason, then chased me out into the hall to tell me to be mature about it. I looked past her at Jason's smug, theatrical face. In that moment, I was finally completely done with this drawn-out three-ring circus. I turned and walked away, and I never looked back. This whole simp routine, I was so damn done with it. When it was the peak of summer, and the old ceiling fans in the classroom did little more than stir the thick, hot air, groaning like they were on their last legs. I kept my head down, the tip of my pen a blur of motion as it traced confident calculations across the scratch paper. The muffled voice of the physics reached me from the front of the room as he handed back our quizzes. "Liam, another perfect score. Dude, you're a machine." A few heads turned, their expressions a familiar mix of awe and teasing. A shadow fell over my workbook, carrying the scent of lemon verbena soap. "Here." Chloe's voice was soft beside my ear. A single, perfectly white hand held out a small pack of Gushers, the bright pink packaging a stark contrast to the monochrome of my desk. She placed it on the corner, next to a stack of practice tests. "Last one. It's all yours." I didn't look up, my focus locked on a complex circuit diagram. "Just leave it there." My voice was flat. Chloe didn't seem to mind. She leaned against the side of my desk, her fingers idly fiddling with the curled corner of my textbook. Her eyes, however, kept flicking toward the back of the room. My pen stopped. I didn't need to turn around. I knew it was Jason. "Hey." Chloe leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Did you know? Jason's dad. He used to be this big-shot investor. But he went to prison. His mom runs a food truck now, just to keep him in school." Her gaze shot to the back row again before darting back to my face. Crazy, right? I put down my pen and finally looked at her. "So?" I asked. My own voice sounded cold, even to me. She blinked, thrown by my reaction. Her delicate eyebrows furrowed. "What do you mean, so?" "God, Liam, you can be so boring." She straightened up and reached for the Gushers. "Fine, if you don't want them, I'll give them to Jason." The second her fingers touched the plastic, a piercing screech echoed from the back of the room as a chair leg scraped against the linoleum. It was followed by the dull thud of a book hitting the floor. "Whoa!" A smooth, slightly dramatic male voice called out, full of apology. "Oh man, I'm so sorry, Chloe. Didn't see that there." Chloe spun around like she'd been zapped. Jason was scrambling to pick up the workbook he'd knocked off her desk. As he bent over, his long bangs fell, partially obscuring his sharp, handsome features. He handed the book back to her with a humble posture, and for a second, I could see a faded white scar on his wrist. "It's fine, really," Chloe said, her voice instinctively softening as a visible blush crept up her cheeks. Jason gave her an apologetic smile, and his eyes, as if by accident, drifted over to the WCIT recruitment brochure still sitting on my desk. "Hey, Chloe," he said, "I'm totally lost on this physics problem. Think you could help me out?" "Of course, I'd love to." The bell for lunch rang, and the classroom erupted into chaos. As usual, Chloe and I walked out of the sweltering building side by side, heading for the cafeteria. I walked in silence, a half step behind her. She seemed distracted, her right hand twisting a simple silver chain on her left wrist, a birthday gift for me. Her pace, however, grew slower and slower, as if her feet were stuck in molasses. She finally stopped when we reached a less crowded corner near the cafeteria entrance. "Liam," she began, her voice a little distant, but her eyes were bright when they met mine. "Jason just asked me about making a study group for the final SAT push." "Oh." I stopped and turned to face her. He said he's weak in physics and wants to find someone to help him fill in the gaps." She licked her lower lip. "He asked if I'd be willing to tutor him." She said tutor him, so softly it was almost a whisper, tinged with a shy excitement. Then, as if remembering I was there, she quickly added, "But of course, if you don't want me to, I'll say no." "I don't want you to," I said clearly, looking at the hopeful spark she failed to hide in her eyes. The air froze. The color drained from Chloe's face, quickly replaced by a flush of anger. "Liam," her voice shot up, drawing stares from a few students walking by. "What is your problem?" She took a step closer, lowering her voice to an intense hiss, her bravado a thin veil for her frustration. "I didn't say I was going to. I was just asking your opinion, but now you're trying to control me. Who do you think you are?" I looked at the face I'd known my whole life. It was written all over it. She never had any intention of saying no. Coming to me wasn't a request for permission. It was an announcement. Her sharp question was just a defense mechanism, a clumsy attempt to hide her own little secret and the panic of being seen right through. "I'm no one," I said, the words tasting like self-mockery. "Do whatever you want." Without waiting for a response, I turned and melted into the crowd heading for the cafeteria, leaving her standing there, frozen. It was just another fight about Jason, and I was getting tired of counting. The countdown poster in the hallway finally reached its last page. Ever since that fight, Chloe and I had been locked in a strange Cold War. We no longer walked home together or did homework at each other's houses. Our conversations were limited to what's the answer to number 5. She and Jason formed their study group. I stopped asking her about anything, but the unspoken tension had become a thorn lodged in the side of a friendship that had lasted over a decade. The day the college application portal opened, the school's computer lab was packed. The air hummed with the frantic clicking of keyboards. Chloe and I sat at adjacent computers, the glow of the monitors illuminating our faces as we each typed in the familiar URL. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a second. The cursor blinked steadily in the application field for the West Coast Institute of Technology. Beside me, Chloe's mouse was clicking rapidly. Without a moment's hesitation, she selected New York University. When the confirmation box popped up, her hand paused for less than a millisecond before her index finger decisively clicked the left button. The green Confirm Submission button lit up. Click! The crisp sound was like a tiny hammer hitting my eardrum. Her movements were so fluid, so rehearsed, that it was clear she'd never once considered asking for my input. The NYU logo was a bright, glaring seal on her application summary. "You decided?" I asked, my gaze shifting from her screen to her face. My voice was flat. Her hand on the mouse flinched, but she didn't look at me. She just aggressively right-clicked and refreshed the page, as if to double-check that the submission had truly gone through. The green "Submission Successful" message flashed again. Only then did the tension in her jaw release. A small, relieved smile touched her lips as she finally turned to me. "Of course," she said, her tone breezy and full of a naive self-assurance. Her eyes curved into crescents, glowing with a secret, satisfied excitement. "NYU is amazing. Jason applied there too, for computer science." She finally said his name, her eyes shining as she looked at me. She then adopted a comforting tone, as if soothing a child. "Liam, don't worry. I know the only reason you ever wanted WCIT was because of me." She lowered her voice. "Just change your first choice to NYU. That way, the three of us can all be together." A deep chill settled in my chest, freezing the last bit of warmth I had for her. She just assumed, without question, that I would blow up my own dreams to follow her to a city she chose, with a guy she wanted. My entire existence in her life was just the supporting character, one she could move around the stage at will. The pale light of the monitor illuminated her triumphant face. My throat felt like it was lined with sandpaper. I was overcome with a sudden, profound exhaustion, the kind of hollow emptiness that comes after you've given everything you have. Click! My index finger came down on the mouse, light but firm. On the screen, the Confirm Submission button for my WCIT application was pressed. The smile on Chloe's face froze, and her bright eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at my monitor. I slowly stood up, looking down at her face as it morphed from shock to confusion, and then, finally, to rage. "My future," I said, my voice perfectly clear, "is something I'll decide for myself. No one knew that my dream of going to WCIT had nothing to do with Chloe. Even if she wasn't going, I still was. Whatever, she muttered, rolling her eyes with disdain. You talk a big game, but you'll just change it back later when you think I'm not looking. In her world, I was always the one who caved. When I got home, I blocked her number. The music at prom was a throbbing, sweaty mess. I leaned against the back wall, my eyes inevitably finding them through the gaps in the crowd. Chloe and Jason were dancing, his hand clamped firmly on her waist. It was the first dance of the night, and in a clear act of revenge for my NYU decision, she had chosen to dance with him. Her white dress was almost blinding under the strobing lights. Her cheeks were flushed from a mix of alcohol and excitement as she looked up at him. Their bodies were pressed impossibly close as they swayed to the beat, the distance between them screaming intimacy. The rotating colored lights swept across Jason's face, revealing a look of cool, easy victory in his eyes, tinged with contempt. His thin lips curled into a smirk for a fraction of a second as his gaze cut through the crowd and locked directly onto mine. The message was clear. Look, she's mine. Dude, what are you looking at? A hand slapped my shoulder hard. It was Mark, a party streamer dangling from his mouth. He shoved an ice-cold Coke into my hand. Let's go. This place is a sauna. We need some air. Gotta hit the bathroom first. He grabbed my arm and started pulling me toward the exit. In the bathroom, I twisted the faucet and splashed handfuls of ice-cold water on my face. It dripped from my hair and jaw, soaking the collar of my shirt. As I pulled a paper towel from the dispenser, the door creaked open. A slender, angry silhouette was cast on the tiled floor. It was Chloe. She was standing in front of me, the happy flush still on her cheeks, but her eyes were burning. The hallway light behind her created a shimmering, unsteady aura. Her breathing was shallow and quick from the dancing. Liam, are you serious? I'm so tired of this. You gave me the silent treatment for weeks before finals, and now you're pulling this? It's so childish. Chloe had clearly been drinking. It is childish, I agreed, so you won't have to deal with me anymore. Mark let out an audible tisk, patted my shoulder, and slipped into one of the stalls, leaving the two of us alone in the narrow space. Chloe's chest rose and fell as my words seemed to stoke her anger. She took a deep breath, the fire in her eyes banking slightly, replaced by a look of frustration and hurt. Liam, how long are you going to keep this up? Is this still about the applications? Is that why you blocked me everywhere? Her voice softened, taking on a pleading tone. She took a half step closer, her eyes welling up. Haven't you been angry long enough? Me dancing with Jason. That was just to make you jealous. The words came out in a rush, her cheeks turning a deeper shade of red. We're all going to Cancun for the senior trip. You should come with me. I already bought your ticket. She spoke with a desperate, conciliatory urgency. You've always wanted to go, right? The whole group is going. No thanks. You and Jason have fun, I said, turning to leave. If I'd already planned it, why was I an afterthought? I was tired of being the third wheel. Hey, are you kidding me? I'm standing here trying to apologize. Just as I stepped out, I saw Jason walking toward us. Chloe, you okay? He then looked at me and said softly, Liam, it was just a dance. You don't have to be so petty. Some people just have dirty minds and assume the worst of everything. Dirty? My brow furrowed, and I threw a punch. Thwack! Jason looked stunned. He clearly never expected me, the quiet bookworm, to actually swing at him. Crash! The next thing I knew, he was on the ground. He had collapsed in a heap, sliding a good 2 feet across the floor. A dark smudge appeared on the knee of his white chinos. He clutched his chest, his face pale and twisted in pain. His eyes, usually so cool and calculating, were wide with shock and agony as they glared at me. Chloe, Jason's voice trembled. He hit me. His eyes darted to a spot behind me before snapping back to my face, full of accusation. I hadn't hit him that hard. I was confused about why he'd fallen so dramatically. Then I turned and saw Chloe standing in the doorway. Liam, she shrieked. What is wrong with you? You know he has a heart murmur. Are you trying to kill him? Do you have to make everything so ugly? Her accusations rained down on me. I wanted to defend myself, but my throat felt clamped shut. The last fragile remnants of whatever I felt for her burned away into nothing. Move! I turned my back on Jason's pathetic act and walked forward, pushing past a stunned Chloe, who was blocking the way. Liam, I'm trying to meet you halfway here. If you keep this up, you're going to lose me for good, she yelled at my back. This trip to Cancun is your last chance. Take it or leave it. I had no interest in Cancun. I booked a flight to Chicago. My cousin and his family had been asking me to visit for ages, and it seemed like the perfect escape. I slept for nearly a full day. My phone buzzed nonstop in my pocket. I was sprawled on the huge couch in my cousin's living room, the sun streaming through the windows making me drowsy. The TV was blaring some reality show, and my cousin was chilling in a beanbag chair, scrolling through his phone. I unlocked my screen to a flood of notifications from the senior class group chat. Wheels up, people! Cancun, here we come, the class president had posted, along with a location tag. A storm of celebratory emojis followed. Sprinkled among them were several photos of Chloe and Jason at the airport. In one, Chloe wore sunglasses, her smile wide, but a little strained, a Starbucks cup in her hand. Jason sat beside her, leaning back casually, his face angled toward the camera with a slight, cocky smirk. In his lap, his hand rested on a rich brown leather wallet with a very recognizable, very expensive designer logo. Another picture was even more pointed. Chloe had posted a 9-photo grid on her Instagram. The background was a quiet corner of the airport terminal, the huge windows reflecting the planes on the tarmac. In the main photo, Jason was hugging her from behind, his chin resting intimately on her shoulder. Chloe had her head tilted, their noses almost touching, their smiles so sweet they looked staged. On Jason's wrist, a flashy, expensive-looking watch was clearly visible. The caption was a single heart emoji. My cousin leaned over and glanced at my screen, letting out a dismissive snort. Huh, son of a con man, and he's flashing a limited edition wallet and a $100,000 watch. Some hard luck story. He took my phone and scrolled through the pictures. A 9-photo grid? This girl is trying way too hard to get to you. He zoomed in on the watch on Jason's wrist and shook his head. Kid's a good actor, I'll give him that. Even his props are expensive. My cousin tossed the phone back into my lap and hauled me up from the couch, looking me up and down like a diamond in the rough. All right, that's enough moping. We're getting even. Open your eyes, kid. I'm about to show you what a real glow-up looks like. He knew all about me and Chloe. After all, we'd been attached at the hip since kindergarten. An hour later, I was in a high-end salon downtown, the air thick with the scent of expensive shampoo. I stared blankly at my reflection, a guy with a head full of foils and a green, mud-like substance being meticulously applied to his face. My cousin stood behind me, directing the stylist like a movie director. Clean up the sideburns. Make them sharp. His hair's too flat. It's got no life. Use some product. Yes, just like that. Now look serious. No smiling. I want cool. I want ice cold. His voice was booming with an infectious excitement. The stylist carefully trimmed my bangs, the cold steel of the scissors against my forehead, a strange sensation. Not satisfied, my cousin pulled out a DSLR camera and started snapping pictures. After what felt like an eternity, I stumbled out of the fragrant salon, barely recognizing the person in the mirror. My slightly too long hair was now expertly styled, with a bit of a wave that swept my bangs off my forehead, revealing features that had been hidden behind thick glasses for years. The crisp, charcoal gray button-down my cousin had pulled from his closet made my shoulders look broader. A pair of slim-fit black pants replaced my standard-issue athletic shorts. Damn, my cousin said, admiring the photos on his phone. You clean up nice, man. Total smoke show. He immediately opened Instagram, selected the best shots, and crafted a caption dripping with hype. Project upgrade for the little cuz is complete. The foundation of a future mogul was there all along, just hidden behind nerdy glasses. Ladies, form an orderly queue. The post was a 9-photo spread of professionally edited pictures. There is a candid shot of my profile as the stylist adjusted my cuffs, a moody, backlit shot from a corner of the studio that highlighted the sharp line of my jaw, and a final picture of me leaning against the counter, looking down at my phone, the background artfully blurred to hint at the luxury brand displays behind me. BZZZT, BZZZT, BZZZ. The moment he hit post, my phone started vibrating like it was having a seizure. The screen lit up with a constant stream of notifications. The pop-up banners for DMs and comments wouldn't stop. The head cheerleader from the class next to ours, a girl who acted like she was royalty, sent a series of messages. Liam? OMG, is that you? Image, this profile shot is killing me. How'd I never notice you were this hot? You free to get milkshakes this weekend? A girl I hadn't spoken to since middle school, a piano prodigy, messaged me. Shocked emoji, Liam. Is that really you? Laughing emoji, guess I wasted high school. The nerd became a heartthrob. Even one of my cousin's friends, a rich girl from his social circle, commented, "Who's the cutie?" Cousin's handle, send me his @ The light from the screen illuminated my stoic face. I tapped the screen twice, switched it to silent, and placed it face down on the table. All of a sudden, effusive praise felt like a fireworks show for someone else, dazzling and loud, but happening in a sky that had nothing to do with me. A few days later, the plane descended through a thick blanket of clouds, and the familiar skyline of my city came into view. The setting sun cast a brilliant gold edge on the wing. The roar of the engines, as we touched down, felt like a temporary closing curtain on a ridiculous play. The moment I walked through the front door, the familiar comfort of home washed over me. I dropped my luggage in the entryway and collapsed onto the living room couch. As soon as I turned my phone off airplane mode, a flood of missed calls and texts poured in, most of them from one unforgettable number. Before I could even unlock it, the doorbell rang. A rapid, slightly hesitant chime. I went to the door and opened it. It was Chloe. She looked thinner than I remembered, with faint dark circles under her eyes. She wore a simple light blue sundress, her hands anxiously twisting the fabric at her sides. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, then quickly dimmed, a hesitant, timid look replacing the usual confidence. Liam, she managed to smile. Wow, you look different. I never knew you could look so handsome. Anyway, you missed the senior trip. Look, I brought you some gourmet chocolates from the duty-free shop. Here, have some. I know you like this brand. After you eat, we could talk about our plans for NYU. I didn't take the box from her. A pained smile crossed her face as she set it on the entryway table. Okay, fine. Don't eat it now. My parents are throwing me a graduation party tonight. You have to come. I can't. I have other plans. If that's all, you should probably go. I had no energy left for small talk. I know why. She seemed to remember something and took a small step forward. I overreacted that night. Jason fell. I shouldn't have blamed you without knowing the whole story. Her fingers twisted the fabric of her dress even tighter. And in Cancun, those pictures, they didn't mean anything. I was trying to make you. She trailed off, her cheeks flushing. Just as her jumbled apology was about to form a coherent thought. Bzzz. Bzzz. The sharp vibration of a phone cut through the air. It was coming from the small purse at her side. Chloe flinched as if startled by the sound and fumbled for the bag. Her eyes involuntarily shot down to the screen. The name Jason was flashing across it. The apology that had been forming in her eyes vanished, scattered by the insistent buzzing. Her fingers were already unzipping the purse, though she was still trying to talk to me, her words becoming rushed and frantic. Liam, wait, just one more thing. She pulled the phone out. She glanced at the screen, where his name seemed to pulse with urgency. The last trace of hesitation on her face disappeared. She swiped to answer, her voice instantly shifting to a tone of soft, exaggerated concern. Hello. Jason, what's wrong? Your stomach hurts again? Is it bad? You don't have your medicine? You're alone in your dorm? Don't move, right now. She was babbling, already backing away toward the hallway. Okay. I'll figure something out. Just wait for me. Don't go anywhere. She turned and started jogging toward the stairs before the call was even over. As she rushed away, she called back over her shoulder. Liam, you have to come to the party tonight. Because I had blocked Chloe, she started using her mom's phone to call me relentlessly. In her mind, all it would take was a half-hearted apology, and I would cave like I always did. We had made a promise to go to each other's graduation parties. But I broke that promise. Later, when she realized I truly wasn't coming, Chloe threw a massive tantrum. Her mom, sensing something was seriously wrong, called me back herself. Liam, honey, what's going on with you and Chloe? You haven't been over at all since graduation. You two are supposed to be going to New York together soon. I've already bought you both matching luggage and a full set of dorm supplies. Mrs. Miller, you don't have to do that. I've got everything I need. and I really can't make it tonight. I was about to explain when I heard a scuffle, and the phone was snatched away. Liam Carter, you're going to regret this. Don't you dare come looking for me when we get to NYU. You'll be crying when you see me with someone else. I blocked that number, too. For the rest of the summer, I went to work at my mom's company. After my dad died in a lab accident, she'd been running the whole operation by herself. Now that I was heading to college, it was time for me to start learning the ropes. As for Chloe, after the night of her party, she left the class group chat. It seemed she was ready to cut ties as well. It was for the best. Out of sight, out of mind. When it was time to leave for college, my mom flew with me to California. The upperclassmen at WCIT were incredibly welcoming. The second we stepped on campus, we were swarmed by students from every imaginable club, trying to recruit us freshmen. My new roommates were awesome, and the four of us hit it off immediately. As I was quickly adjusting to college life, I was also the first one in my dorm to get a love letter. On the third day of freshman orientation, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Chloe. Liam, I went to your house yesterday to go to the airport with you, but your mom said you'd already left for school. I've spent all day searching the entire NYU campus. I went to every freshman dorm, the registrar's office. I even snuck into the administration building. They have no record of you. Where the hell are you? I was speechless. An entire summer had gone by, and she still believed I would just throw away my dreams for her. I'm not in New York, I said tiredly. I'm at WCI. Chloe laughed, a strained, nervous sound. No, you're not. That's impossible. You have to be at NYU. Look, I thought you would have gotten over this by now. Just come to the main gate of the men's dorms. I brought you some food. My mom made it herself. I couldn't listen to it anymore. Chloe, I told you, I'm at the West Coast Institute of Technology. My dream has always been WCIE. Aerospace engineering. You know that. Why would you ever think I'd change my mind? A real panic finally entered her voice. Wait, you really didn't change it. I'm not kidding. You changed your application for someone else. It would be pretty pathetic for me to follow you after that, don't you think? Chloe scrambled for an explanation. No, it wasn't like that. Jason said he was scared to go to college alone, and NYU is a great school, so I felt bad for him. She kept talking, but I had stopped listening. All I could hear was that her decision was, and always had been, about Jason. I felt bad for him. It was always the excuse. With a reason like that, there was nothing she wouldn't do for him if he asked. Chloe, I get it. You care about him, and now you've got what you wanted. So I'm asking you, please don't contact me again. I hung up, wanting nothing more to do with her. We were on opposite sides of the country, separated by thousands of miles. But I never expected that the very next day, she would be standing right in front of me. When she found me, I was with an upperclassman, a girl from my new calculus class. She was tall, with a graceful confidence and a stunning smile. Her name was constantly popping up on the campus's anonymous social media pages. Just a few minutes earlier, I'd been eating lunch in the dining hall when she walked right up and sat down across from me. Liam Carter, she said, her smile bright and direct. My name is Sarah Reed. I've sent you 5 emails about the aerospace club, and you haven't responded to a single one. Her confidence was captivating. This is me, extending a 6th invitation, in person. I hope you'll give the club, and me, a chance. She winked, then stood up and walked away, leaving me slightly stunned. Liam. And just like that, there was Chloe, looking exhausted and lost. Her white dress was wrinkled from travel, and her eyes were bloodshot. She looked so fragile and pitiful that even though my feelings were long gone, I felt a pang of something, maybe just a sad nostalgia for what we used to be. Liam, a sob caught her throat, and the words came out broken. You're really here. I found you. Please don't be mad. Don't ignore me. She reached for my hand, her own trembling uncontrollably. Please come back with me. I don't like New York. I don't like NYU anymore. I was arrogant. Okay? I was so sure you'd change your application for me. I shook my head. You are you, and I am me. You were the only one willing to change your life for someone else. Her voice rose with emotion. No, it doesn't matter what school I chose. You always follow me before. Why is this time different? I almost laughed. Why do you need me to explain it? The moment you chose him, this was over. Chloe, I said, my voice calm and devoid of any emotion, simply stating a fact that had long been settled. You never understood what path I was meant to be on. Without another word, I stood up and walked out of the dining hall. The wind at my back was crisp and cool, a California breeze that seemed to push me forward, away from the past. The path ahead of me was clear and solid, leading only toward a future forged in steel and fueled by ambition. There was no room in my shadow for anyone else's expectations. That afternoon, a rare, torrential rainstorm swept through Pasadena. Later, one of my roommates told me he saw some girl walking in the downpour for hours, looking completely heartbroken. I heard him, but I didn't feel a thing. A few days later, I got another call from her mom. I was in the middle of a materials and structural integrity lab, and I had no patience for it. Liam, honey, I don't know what's wrong with Chloe. She came back from California and got sick. Now she's saying she wants to drop out and retake her SATs so she can transfer to WCIT to be with you. I was done. I cut her off. Tell her not to waste her time. There is no us anymore. And please, tell her to stop doing these pointless things. I have a girlfriend now. I hung up the phone. Later, my mom told me that Chloe did eventually go back to NYU. I also heard, through the grapevine, that Jason's college career didn't end well. He got caught cheating on multiple girls and ended up picking a fight with the wrong guy, someone with connections, and got badly beaten. As for Chloe, she would fly to California to see me on every holiday, even if I refused to meet with her. She was desperate to find out if I was really dating someone. That charade continued until I finally accepted Sarah's invitation to dinner. Sarah, who had patiently and persistently kept asking me out, charming me with her wit and passion for the stars. My roommates were shocked I'd held out for so long. Sarah was, by all accounts, the most sought-after girl at WCIT. The next time Chloe showed up unannounced, she saw Sarah and me sitting on the lawn outside the student union. After that, the sight of Sarah playfully feeding me a fry from her own plate was the last straw. Chloe never came to California again. After that, I completely lost track of her. My family eventually moved to Pasadena to be closer to me. It was my father's dream to live here, to be near the heart of the aerospace industry. And Sarah has been by my side the whole time. We graduated together, and now we both work at a satellite launch control center. My eyes have always been on the stars.